I've lived in the Toronto area for about 35 years. And all this time, just 90 minutes away, was this. A small town built around a river and a spectacular gorge. With limestone cliffs, forest trails, historic streets, and even an old quarry that's now a swimming hole. Somehow, I'd never really explored Elora. So we came for the day to see what we'd been missing. And as it turns out, quite a bit. The gorge is really the heart of Elora. From above, you get a sense of the scale. But once you start walking down toward the river, it feels completely different. The trees close in, the sound of the water gets louder, and the limestone walls seem to rise around you. This gorge was carved over thousands of years by the Grand River, and today the trails give you a much closer look at the landscape that shaped Elora. And this was one of the things that surprised me most. I expected a nice small town with a scenic river. I did not expect to find myself walking through something that felt this rugged, this close to home. There are places where you can get right down near the water, and others where the trail climbs back up along the rock. It's not a difficult hike, but it does have stairs, uneven sections, and some elevation changes. And honestly, I wouldn't rush through it. This was one of those places where the walk itself was as enjoyable as whatever viewpoint was waiting at the end. And every so often, the trees open up, and you remember how deep this gorge really is. If you're enjoying the video, please consider subscribing to support the channel. What I hadn't expected was how easy it was to leave the busier parts of Elora behind. Within a few minutes, we were walking under a canopy of trees with surprisingly little to remind us that the town was close by. And there are quite a few trails around Elora, ranging from short walks to longer routes that follow the river and connect different parts of the area. We weren't here for a serious hike. We just picked a trail and started walking. And I'm glad we did, because this quieter part of Elora turned out to be one of the best parts of the day. Nothing particularly dramatic, just a really nice place to walk. And sometimes that's enough. And then there is the town itself. After the gorge and the trails, I was expecting Elora to feel like a small town that happened to have some spectacular scenery nearby. But it has a personality of its own. The center is compact and very walkable, with old stone buildings, little side streets, independent shops, cafes, pubs, and restaurants, and enough going on that it doesn't feel like a place people simply drive through on their way to the gorge. There's a slightly quirky side to Ellora too. You notice it in the storefronts, the little lanes, the patios, and some of the things you come across while wandering around. And wandering really is the best way to do it. We didn't have a checklist. We just walked, looked around, stopped when something caught our attention. And eventually we did what any sensible person does after a few hours of hiking. We found a patio. By this point, I was beginning to understand why people come to Ellora for more than just the gorge. And right in the middle of this is one of Ellora's best known landmarks, the Old Mill. Its location tells you a lot about the town. Ellora grew around the river, and for generations the water here wasn't just scenery. It was part of what made the town work. Today, the mill has been transformed into a luxury hotel, but from across the river you can still see how naturally it fits into the landscape. This is where Ellora's history and its scenery really come together. And then, almost as a final surprise, there's the quarry. For decades, limestone was extracted from the site. Today, the abandoned quarry has been transformed into a swimming area surrounded by cliffs and trees. From the trail above, it almost looks hidden. And then you come around the corner, and there it is. On a warm summer day, this may be one of the most unusual places in Ontario to go for a swim. The water, the old rock walls, the little beach, it feels completely different from the gorge and the town we had just explored. And somehow, all of this had been sitting just 90 minutes from home for 35 years. I think I was overdue for a visit.